Gain momentum or gather pace. Meaning, to become gradually stronger, faster or more successful. Examples, the campaign has been gaining momentum ever since the television appeal. The spacecraft will fly around the Earth to gain/gather momentum for its trip to Jupiter. One would have to be deaf and blind, or else very naive, not to see that the opposition is gathering momentum. The talk of the town. Meaning, to be what everyone is talking about. Examples, the death of Michael has been the talk of the town recently. This town doesn't have a lot to gossip about already, not really anyway, and two guys getting together would make us the talk of the town. How did you not hear about the fire at City Hall last night? It's the talk of the town. Rest assured. Meaning, to be certain that something will happen. Used to make someone feel safe or less worried about something. Examples, you can rest assured that you are going to get a good deal. Please rest assured that we are doing everything in our power to make your grandmother comfortable here. You can rest assured that we will do everything we can to get your money back. Have or with a clear conscience. Meaning, to be guiltless or have no feelings of guilt or remorse over something. Examples, don't you dare accuse me of causing this, I have a clear conscience. Sophie and the child will be taken care of, and because of that I can live with a clear conscience. You can face Lionel with a clear conscience, you've done nothing to harm him. Go a long way. Meaning, 1 to achieve much success. 2 to be very adequate, useful, or helpful. Examples, don't do anything rash, patience will go a long way toward bringing you allies in this situation. Thank you for your generous donation, I'm sure it will go a long way. It was clear from a very young age that Kylie would go a long way. Ahead of the curve meaning, at the forefront of or leading in something, such as a developing situation, field of study or business, social development, etc. Examples, our expert advice will help you stay ahead of the curve. In order to put yourself in the right place at the right time, it is essential to keep ahead of the curve. Our commitment is to stay ahead of the curve and give our customers optimal network coverage and quality. Not in a month of Sundays. Meaning, something that is going to take a long time. A seemingly endless or prolonged period of time. Examples, it will take you a month of Sundays to get through all the revisions. He's never going to get that finished in a month of Sundays. I wish that someone had a camera here so I could have a picture taken of me to send home to you folks. I've got more equipment on that I don't think I could use it all in a month of Sundays. Wear out. Meaning, 1 to make someone feel very tired. 2 to use something a lot so that it no longer works, or can no longer be used. Examples, I read that book over and over till I wore it out. With only 5 laps left, the white warning layer appeared on Zox's right rear tire, telling him that his tire was wearing out. I was completely worn out, my energy spent from worrying. Beat around the bush. Meaning, to talk about lots of unimportant things because you want to avoid talking about what is really important. Examples, quit beating around the bush and say what's on your mind. Why are you beating around the bush? Are you leaving our company? Let's stop beating about the bush and discuss this matter. The same old thing. Meaning, the same thing that is always done or that always happens. It often implies that such a thing is boring or monotonous. Examples, we just sit around and do the same old thing on Fridays. Let's go out this week. A. What are you doing this summer? B. Same old thing, loading up the car and heading to the beach. Yeah, I can imagine hearing the same old thing over and over again on this show could get boring. Slip up. Meaning, to make a careless mistake. Examples, these figures don't make sense, have we slipped up somewhere? It's easy for a journalist to slip up and use somebody else's idea without crediting them. I have to concentrate while I do this, so please don't talk and slip me up. Get even. Meaning, to exact revenge or do something that one perceives as equalizing prior mistreatment. Examples, Sheila swore that she would get even with me after she figured out that I had started the rumor about her. He is so furious about their treatment of him that he's determined to get even. The best way to get even with the jerks from high school is to become successful. Pinpoint. Meaning, find or identify with great accuracy or precision. Examples, emergency workers are still unable to pinpoint the cause of the explosion. They were unable to pinpoint the source of the noise. He pinpointed the position on the map. Trade-off. Meaning, a kind of compromise that involves giving up something in return for getting something else. Examples, there is a trade-off between doing the job accurately and doing it quickly. The explosion in data collection has been accepted by many as a trade-off for convenience and discounts. For some car buyers, lack of space is an acceptable trade-off for a sporty design. Bottom line. Meaning, the fundamental and most important factor. Examples, the bottom line is that the great majority of our kids are physically unfit. You have all made compelling arguments, but the bottom line is that we need a viable, cost-effective solution, and I still don't think we've found one yet. We've had some success this year, but the bottom line is that the business is still losing money. Breakthrough. Meaning, an important discovery or event that helps to improve a situation or provide an answer to a problem. Examples, a major breakthrough in negotiations has been achieved. This drug has been heralded as a major breakthrough in the fight against breast cancer. The development of digital imagery was a breakthrough in computer technology. Hit bottom. Meaning, to reach the lowest or worst point of a decline. Examples, I knew I had hit bottom when I missed my son's birthday party. Prices have been falling for weeks during the crash, but the economy has finally hit bottom. Our profits have hit bottom. Takeaway. Meaning, a main message or piece of information that you learn from something you hear or read. Examples, at the end of the class, the teacher gives us the takeaway points. The takeaway from the conference was how competitive the tourism industry has become. The main takeaway for me is that we need to continue to communicate all the things we're doing for our customers. Spearhead. Meaning, to lead something such as an attack or a course of action. Examples, British troops spearheaded the invasion. Joe Walker will be spearheading our new marketing initiative. He's spearheading a project to start rebuilding the hospital. In and of itself meaning, by itself, without considering any other factors. Considering it alone. Examples, in and of itself the plan might work, but I doubt that it will be approved. The idea in and of itself is not bad, but the side issues introduce many difficulties. And so likewise, once we have learned the application for virtue it will acquire a value in and of itself. Unaccounted for. Meaning, person, it is not known where they are or whether they are still alive. Something, it is not present and there is no explanation for what has happened to it. Examples, a fire on the ship killed 100 or more passengers, some likely victims are still unaccounted for. An audit of the police department found that $100,000 in cash and one handgun were unaccounted for. Many people were unaccounted for after the disaster. A far cry from. Meaning, to be completely different from something. Examples, this flat is a far cry from the house they had before. What you did was a far cry from what you said you were going to do. The song they played was a far cry from what I call music. Way off the mark. Meaning, very inaccurate or wrong. Examples, I never once said that. Your reporter is far off the mark in her accusations. I guessed it cost $3,000 and apparently I wasn't far off the mark. While he does make one or two valid points, I find much of his argument off the mark. Go about. Meaning, 1. Do something as normal. 2. Deal with something. Examples, there were no further reports of violence in the town, and most people went about their daily activities as usual. You are going about this in the wrong way. How should I go about researching this topic? Would you tell me how to go about it? Take it out on. Meaning, to punish or harm someone or something because one is angry or disturbed about something. Examples, Dan has been frustrated by the lack of progress, and unfortunately he's been taking it out on his co-workers. I know you've had a bad day, but you don't have to take it out on me. She feels tensed most of the time and takes out her anger on her pets. Take for granted. Meaning, not value somebody/something just because they are/it is always there. Examples, we take so many things for granted these days: electricity, running water, cars. The plenitude of our natural resources has resulted in most people taking them for granted for most of human history. The boss takes us for granted, but if we weren't here, this whole company would collapse. In one's element. Meaning, in an environment naturally suited to or associated with one, doing what one enjoys. Examples, Kate, of course, was in her element, making all the arrangements. He's in his element when he's doing woodworking. As an outgoing person, I'm in my element when I have to make a speech off the top of my head in front of a crowd of people. Loophole meaning, something that has been left out of a law or legal document that people can use to avoid obeying it. Examples, our solicitor is bound to find a loophole enabling us to get round the law. He exploited a legal loophole in order to avoid paying child support. The new law has closed a loophole that enabled rich corporations to pay no tax. In a dither. Meaning, in a nervous, confused, or agitated state. Examples, the economy is still in a dither after news that the country's largest corporation has filed for bankruptcy. We were in a dither waiting to meet the president at our school rally. Planning the wedding put her in a dither. Layout. Meaning, 1. To explain something carefully and clearly. 2. To arrange in a pattern or design. 3. To spend an amount of money. Examples, they had already laid out a substantial sum for the wedding. The city was laid out with the town hall on a hill in its center. The documents lay out the principles clearly enough. The designer laid out the book with pictures on every page. Up to scratch. Meaning, reaching an acceptable standard, as good as the usual standard. Examples, your last essay wasn't up to scratch/didn't come up to scratch. The last few episodes of the TV program haven't been quite up to scratch. She was turned down because her German was not up to scratch. Understatement. Meaning, the presentation of something as being smaller or less good or important than it really is. Examples, to say that her resignation was a shock would be an understatement, it caused panic. To say he's been busy would be the understatement of the year. He called it a postscript, but he had always had a taste for understatement. On the ball meaning, attentive, knowledgeable, and quick to take action, alert to new ideas, methods, and trends. Examples, I'm so glad that my assistant is always on the ball because I'm too scatterbrained to manage my schedule on my own. Some clubs struggle to raise money. A few are on the ball and make a professional job of it. Maintaining contact with customers keeps me on the ball. Turn down meaning, to not accept an offer or request. Examples, how could you turn down such a fantastic job? I thanked him for the offer but turned it down. The man that I loved, father to my last child, had the audacity to turn me down. Step down meaning, withdraw or resign from an important position or office. Examples, effective immediately, I'll be stepping down as director of the company. Following the scandal, the governor was forced to step down from office. Steve Spreadborough has been forced to step down from work commitments after suffering a stroke last week. Drift away meaning, lose personal contact over time. Examples, Andrea and I never had a big fight or anything, we just drifted away from each other over the years, and now I hardly ever see her. The two women were roommates in college and drifted apart as they got married. He began drifting away from me a few months ago, and haven't seen him at all in the last 3 weeks. Get going. Meaning, 1. To get someone excited, to get someone talking excitedly. 2. To start taking some action or start moving. Examples, the whole business really makes me mad. Don't get me going. We need to get going if we want to get this house cleaned up before your mother gets here. Let's get going. We can't stand here all day. Drop out of meaning, to leave an activity or program without finishing it. Examples, I'm going back to school because I always regretted dropping out of college. She dropped out of her business course and has now taken up a fine arts degree. She's really in her element now. He dropped out of the race after 2 laps. Set aside meaning, 1 to save for a particular purpose. 2 to not let a particular feeling, opinion, or belief influence you, in order to achieve something more important. 3 to put something to the side or out of the way. Examples: they agreed to set aside their differences and work together for peace. Have you set aside some money for your child's education? He sets aside some time every day to read to his children. Would you mind setting those books aside so I can clean the desk? Please set your phone aside while I'm talking to you. Single out meaning, to choose and focus on a single person or thing out of a group of others. Examples: they singled out her project from all the other applicants for its creative and ingenious design. For some reason, the bullies keep singling me out to pick on each day. Unable to determine who had committed the offense, the teacher singled out the most mischievous student for punishment. Sort out meaning, 1 to understand or resolve a problem or conflict. 2 to arrange according to class or category. Examples: my job is to sort out the recyclables so that all the paper, plastic, aluminum, and glass goes to the right part of the facility. They brought in the head of human resources to sort the issue out. I sorted out the blue socks and washed them separately. It took me an hour to sort out the problem with my reservation. Deep down meaning, at bottom, basically. In your most private thoughts, in reality rather than in appearance. Examples: I tried to put on a brave face after the breakup, but deep down I was in agony. He acts like a jerk most of the time, but deep down I think Nate is a good guy. Deep down I knew that Caroline was right. Off the cuff meaning, casually and spontaneously, without planning or preparation. Examples: I didn't have time to organize my thoughts, so I just spoke off the cuff. The senator has become known for making off-the-cuff remarks that create controversy. I'm not very good at making speeches off the cuff. Have a lot on one's plate meaning, have a great deal, or too much, to cope with. To have a lot to do. Examples: I just have a lot on my plate right now while I'm finishing up my degree and doing this huge project for work. With the new baby and the new house, they have a lot on their plate. The aid agencies have more than enough on their plate without having unnecessary visitors to take care of. Draw out meaning, 1. To pull something out of some other thing. 2. To make something longer than usual or necessary, prolong something. 3. To extract information from someone. Examples: the burglar drew out a knife. The speaker drew the lecture out so that it would last the entire class. The police drew out the truth from the suspect. The doctor drew a tongue depressor out of the jar and told me to open my mouth. I swore my sister to secrecy, but Dad will be able to draw the story out of her. Work up meaning, 1 to develop a particular feeling. 2. To excite or arouse one's emotions. Examples: I just can't work up any enthusiasm for this trip. Try not to work up Mom too much. We just want to have a nice relaxing afternoon. The kids had worked themselves up to a fever pitch of excitement. Keep a low profile meaning, stay out of public notice, avoid attracting attention to oneself. Examples: until his appointment becomes official, Ted is keeping a low profile. He's been in a little trouble recently, so he's trying to keep a low profile. A. I haven't seen you in a while, how are you? B. Oh, I'm fine, just keeping a low profile so I can finish my research by the deadline. High maintenance meaning, needing a lot of work to keep in good condition. Of a person, demanding a lot of attention. Examples: he's sort of a high maintenance guy. He requires lots of reassurance. Second-hand cars can be high maintenance. If you're high maintenance and believe you're the best girl, every man would be awed by your confidence and would try to woo you and win your fancy. She acts like she needs constant entertainment from me or she'll get bored. She's such high maintenance girl. Foregone conclusion meaning, a result that is obvious to everyone even before it happens. Examples: the result of the election seems to be a foregone conclusion. After how poorly the team has played so far this season, it's a foregone conclusion that they won't make it to the championship. It's a foregone conclusion that Spain will win tonight's match. Comply with meaning, to follow or adhere to a particular rule or regulation. Examples: there are serious penalties for failure to comply with the regulations. Please be advised that your construction project needs to comply with all building codes. She had very set views about the funeral, and everyone was happy to comply with her wishes. Stumbling block meaning, something that prevents action or agreement. Examples: one potential stumbling block could be the difficulty of accessing the data. Lack of willingness to compromise on both sides is the main/major stumbling block to reaching a settlement. We're trying to sell the house, but its undesirable location has proved to be a real stumbling block. In the light of meaning, because of taking something into consideration. Examples: I see no reason, in the light of these reports, to abandon our current policy. In the light of recent incidents, we are asking our customers to take particular care of their personal belongings. In light of this new evidence, we are reopening the investigation. In the light of the severe weather, graduation will be postponed. Near miss meaning, a situation in which danger or problems are barely avoided. Examples: that was a near miss, we must have come within an inch of that lorry. There was another near miss this afternoon just over Heathrow Airport when a jet nearly hit a small private plane. He drove like a maniac. We had one near miss after another. Weigh up meaning, to think carefully about the advantages or disadvantages of a situation before making a decision. Examples: I'm weighing up my options before I decide to apply for the job. Regulators are weighing up whether to allow the merger to go ahead. Before buying, weigh up the advantages and disadvantages of each type. Measure up meaning, to meet a particular requirement, standard, or expectation. Examples: I can't possibly measure up to Mom's sky-high expectations. We compared the movie we made to some of the other films to see how it measured up. This team easily measures up to any of the others in the league. I wanted the job, but I just didn't measure up. Make it meaning, 1. To achieve one's goals. 2. To arrive at something or location, successfully or on time. Examples: I can see by looking around this room that you have really made it. We only made it to the concert a few minutes before it was supposed to begin. She's a very good dancer, but I'm not sure she'll make it as a professional. I hope my car can make it to the next town. Burst into flames meaning, suddenly begin to burn fiercely. Examples: the two cars burst into flames soon after the collision. As soon as the flame reached the curtains, the entire wall seemed to burst into flames. The helicopter flipped on its tail and burst into flames, killing 8 of the 9 people aboard. Burst into tears or laughter meaning, to begin to cry/laugh suddenly. Examples: after the last notes of her song, the audience burst into tears, such was its beauty and tenderness. The children burst into tears on hearing of the death of their dog. Eli and Abigail seemed to get the meaning of these moments and both burst into laughter. Crack up meaning, 1. Burst into laughter. 2. To experience a mental or emotional breakdown. 3. To destroy something. Examples: we all cracked up at Josh's joke. He drove into a tree and cracked up his car. She's terrified to leave the house all of a sudden. I think she's cracking up. All those days of sleep deprivation finally caused me to crack up. Play down meaning, to make something seem less important than or not as bad as it really is. Examples: the doctor tried to play down the seriousness of my father's illness, but we weren't fooled. We need to play down the presence of microtransactions in the game and focus more on the gameplay itself in our marketing. John is a famous actor, but the director tried to play him down as just another member of the cast. Stick something out meaning, to endure, tolerate, or last through to the end of something. Examples: I know you're unhappy with the job, but just stick it out to the end of this project before you start looking for new work. We've had problems in our marriage for years, but we've been sticking it out for the kids' sake. I didn't really like the movie, but I stuck it out. Pull someone's leg meaning, to deceive someone playfully, tease someone. Examples, are you serious about moving back in or are you pulling my leg? Quit pulling my leg, I know there isn't a Hollywood director calling me right now. Is he serious or just pulling my leg? I'm just pulling your leg, darling. You used to have a sense of humor. Play dumb meaning, to pretend to be unintelligent or unaware in order to deceive someone or gain an advantage. Examples, I don't think I'm supposed to know that Rick is getting fired, so I'm just going to play dumb the next time I see him. A. Did Tammy ask you about my date with Steve? B. Yeah, but I played dumb about it. I just couldn't handle more of her drama today. Whenever she is asked to clean her room, however, Chaser seems to play dumb. Grow out of meaning, to no longer do something because one has aged or matured. 2. To emerge or develop from something. Examples, I thought she would have grown out of temper tantrums by now. Haven't you grown out of your fear of the dark yet? The new law grew out of people's dissatisfaction with the election results. This whole matter grew out of your failure to let the cat out last night. Make ends meet meaning, earn just enough money to live on. Examples, even with no children to support, she couldn't make ends meet. It's not easy to make ends meet with a big family, but somehow we manage. To make ends meet, Phil picked up a second job delivering pizzas. Stand on one's own feet meaning, to be independent, to survive without any help. Examples, it's about time he left home and learned how to stand on his own 2 feet. She'll have to get a job and learn to stand on her own 2 feet sooner or later. You're a talented programmer, and you could have a lot of influence here if you stood on your own feet a bit more. Be worth doing, meaning, used to say that something is interesting, useful, or helpful. Examples, a lot of the small towns in the area are definitely worth visiting. It's well worth getting there early if you want a good seat. It's worth checking the details of the contract before you sign it. Go easy on something/someone meaning, to not take or use too much of something/to treat someone in a gentle way. Examples, go easy on/with the cream. That's all there is. Go easy on your little brother, will you? He didn't mean to break the window. Try to go easy on criticizing their report. They did the best they could in the time allotted. Please go easy on the onions. I don't like them very much. Corner the market meaning, to sell or produce something so successfully as to overshadow all others in the same field. Examples, that company is so popular right now that they've really cornered the market on video games. If you think he bought all that stock to corner the market, you should report him. That kind of activity is illegal. By reducing prices so that the smaller stores can't compete and are forced to close, Best Save has effectively cornered the market. Go the whole hog meaning, do something completely or thoroughly. Examples, you only live once. Might as well go the whole hog and get the works. Having already limited local taxation, why not go the whole hog and abolish it completely? We only planned to order appetizers, but we went whole hog and ended up getting a 7-course meal. Laughing stock meaning, a person subjected to general mockery or ridicule. Examples, if I mess up this speech, I'll be the laughing stock of the school. Another performance like that and this team will be the laughing stock of the league. I can't wear this to the party. I'll be a laughing stock. Touch on meaning, to mention a subject quickly when speaking or writing about another subject. Examples, the talk was about educational opportunities for adults, and the speaker also touched on sources of finance. Before concluding, I would like to touch on the excellent work done by our interns. We'll touch on that matter later in the meeting, so let's stay focused on the issue at hand. Lay one's hands on meaning, 1 to find or get something. 2 to touch or grasp someone, often with the threat of violence. Examples, I need to go to the library and lay my hands on this book for my research paper. It took years, but I've finally laid my hands on this very rare Beatles recording. Oh, once I lay my hands on you, you'll take back what you said. Tom's gone off with the keys again, just wait till I lay my hands on him. Fluster meaning, to make/become agitated, excited, or confused. Examples, shouts from the protesters flustered the speaker. I was flustered by my teacher's comments and began to stumble over my words. Don't let that new tax form fluster you, it's not as bad as it looks. Act up meaning, 1 to misbehave. 2 to malfunction. Examples, Sophie got bored and started acting up. My car always acts up in cold weather. The little girl was acting up, so her mother took her out of the restaurant. The engine began to act up when we were miles from anywhere. Dwell on meaning, 1 to obsessively think or worry about something. 2 to inhabit a particular place or surface. Examples, in his speech, he dwelt on the plight of the sick and the hungry. I want to become a scientist and study the creatures that dwell upon other planets. That type of animal dwells exclusively on land. Go astray meaning, 1 to deviate from what is good or expected. 2 to become lost. Examples, I'm afraid your son has gone astray and gotten into a bit of trouble. A. It seems my coat has gone astray. B. Maybe someone picked it up by mistake. My life goals just kind of went astray for a time in my 20s, but I've got back on track. Mary's book went astray, or maybe it was stolen. Workout meaning, 1. To do exercise. 2 to have a favorable or acceptable outcome. 3 to work to resolve something or reach an agreement, solution. Examples, I work out in the mornings now before work, and I find that it really makes me have more energy during the day. 1. I'm certain it's a blessing in disguise. I forgot my phone that night, but it worked out for the better, because the woman whose phone I borrowed became my wife. 2. I really hope Ron and Jenny can work out their issues. I can't imagine them apart. 3. If our staff can't work out this problem, we're going to have to hire a consultant. 3. Don't worry. I am sure that everything will work out all right. 2. Make out meaning, 1 to be able to see, hear, read, or distinguish something despite difficulty. 2 to manage to do something with someone or something. Examples, what did you say? I couldn't quite make it out. I think I can make out with this hammer. If I can't make out with a crew of 4, I'll have to ask for more help. I can read most of this, but I can't make out the last part. Can you? Pass out meaning, 1. To distribute something to others. 2. To faint or lose consciousness. Examples, please pass these out to the rest of the class. The restaurant is passing out free samples of their food to people walking by. He passed out as soon as he saw the blood. Some of the football players passed out from the heat. Stranded meaning, left without the means to move from somewhere. Examples, she offers a lift to a stranded commute. He left me stranded in town with no car and no money for a bus. If the tide comes in, we'll be stranded on these rocks. Lose track of meaning, to no longer know what is happening, or not to remember something. Examples, she had lost all track of time and had fallen asleep. What he was saying was so complicated that I lost track after the first couple of sentences. I've lost track of the number of times he's asked me to lend him money. Unwittingly or inadvertently meaning, without intention, accidentally. Antonym, deliberately. Examples, his name had been inadvertently omitted from the list. I'm afraid I inadvertently took your bag when I left. Many parents unwittingly place their children in danger by not making sure they wear seat belts. Reap the benefit, reward, etc. Meaning, to get something good as a result of your own actions. Examples, she studied every evening and reaped the benefit at exam time. We sold them most of their modern weapons and now we are reaping the bitter harvest. In his old age, Charlie is reaping the rewards of a life of exercise and healthy eating. Skim the surface meaning, to do, engage with, or understand something to only a minimal or superficial degree. Examples, Jack never felt satisfied devoting his time and attention to one thing, so instead he skimmed the surface of a number of hobbies and interests. Does your technology go in depth, or is it barely skimming the surface of this information, leaving you with minimal data points with which to win new business? Thunderstruck or dumbstruck meaning, extremely surprised or shocked. Examples: Ruth was thunderstruck when he presented her with an engagement ring. I was thunderstruck to hear that in the great demonstration of fighting vehicles, tanks, troop carriers, and all the rest. You might be dumbstruck with fear when you hear a scary noise upstairs. Like chalk and cheese meaning, very different from one another, totally or nearly opposite in nature. Examples: good luck getting those two to talk to each other, they're like chalk and cheese. My daughters are like chalk and cheese, one loves baseball and the other loves ballet. Marianne and Ellis are like chalk and cheese. She's very serious and studious while he's sporty and sociable. Two sides of the same coin meaning, two things that seem disparate but are actually related. Examples: imports and exports are like two sides of the same coin. For some people, great opportunity and great danger are two sides of the same coin. As two sides of the same coin, librarians and instructional designers need to work together to achieve the best outcomes for their libraries. Back out meaning, withdraw from a commitment, promise, plan, or situation. Examples: they backed out of the deal the day before they were due to sign the contract. She was considered a strong contender to win the local election, but she backed out at the last minute and continued working as CEO of her company. Are you going to try to back out of our agreement? You won't back out, will you? Fiasco meaning, a complete failure, especially a ludicrous or humiliating one. Examples: the show was a fiasco, one actor forgot his lines and another fell off the stage. The entire political campaign was a fiasco, and at the end he drew only 30% of the votes. The only military expedition, in 1624, ended in a fiasco. Apathy meaning, lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. Examples: there is a growing sense of apathy among teens and a feeling that there are no opportunities. To this list one might add apathy, disrespect, recklessness, insensitivity, and dishonesty. They may develop apathy or resistance if they view their boss as oppressive. Proportional meaning, in correct relation to. Examples: weight is proportional to size. How far you go is directly proportional to how fast you go, equals as one thing increases, the other increases at exactly the same rate. The degree of punishment is meant to be proportional to the seriousness of the crime. There's a false idea that physical prowess and intellectual ability are inversely proportional. Obsolete meaning, no longer produced or used, out of date. Examples: gas lamps became obsolete when electric lighting was invented. Traditional retailing is in danger of being rendered obsolete by the internet. We need to replace some obsolete equipment. Rapid technological change soon makes systems obsolete. Deplete meaning, to reduce something in size or amount, especially supplies of energy, money, etc., use up/consume/exhaust. Examples: if we continue to deplete the Earth's natural resources, we will cause serious damage to the environment. The illness depletes the body of important vitamins. That last holiday seriously depleted my bank account. Cumbersome meaning, one awkward because of being large, heavy, or not effective. Too difficult to do or manage and taking a lot of time and effort. Examples: although the machine looks cumbersome, it is easy to use. Critics say that the process for amending the Constitution is cumbersome. This approach allows faster initial deployment, but maintenance of the application becomes cumbersome with a growing number of cases. Pathetic meaning, one causing feelings of sadness or sympathy. Too useless or not effective in an annoying way. Examples: I think it's pathetic that only half of the eligible voters tend to vote. Are you telling me you're frightened to speak to her? Don't be so pathetic. The refugees were a pathetic sight, starving, frightened, and cold. Perpetual meaning, continuing forever in the same way. Occurring repeatedly, so frequent as to seem endless and uninterrupted. Examples: they lived in perpetual fear of being discovered. He has hard, cold eyes and his mouth is set in a perpetual sneer. She resented his perpetual complaining about her cooking. Clara could recall her mother's perpetual nagging at her father. Dwindle. Meaning, diminish gradually in size, amount, or strength. Examples, the community has dwindled to 1/10 of its former size in the last 2 years. Her hopes of success in the race dwindled last night as the weather became worse. While public interest in Ebola continues to dwindle, the epidemic itself continues to soar. Recalibrate. Meaning, to change the way you do or think about something. Examples, you need to recalibrate your expectations. The administration appears to have recalibrated its strategy. Frequently, users must recalibrate the data at their home sites to take advantage of better calibration files or software. Upsurge. Meaning, noun, a sudden and usually large increase in something. Examples, department stores report a recent upsurge in credit card fraud. An upsurge of or in violence in the district has been linked to increased unemployment. Why, after all, have we had this great upsurge in population over the last 2 centuries? Phase out. Meaning, to gradually eliminate or remove someone or something. Examples, when was the $2 bill phased out of circulation? Of course I'm worried the corporate office is phasing out all of the jobs in our department. We will gradually phase the old schedule out to create a more efficient one. Boisterous. Meaning, 1 noisy, energetic, and cheerful. 2. Of weather or water, wild or stormy. Examples, to this humorous wet joke, the audience burst into a boisterous laughter. An argument developed between the soldiers and some civilian men and women who objected to their boisterous behavior. Children's parties, featuring fortune-telling and boisterous games, have long been part of the Halloween tradition in America. Preempt. Meaning, take action in order to prevent an anticipated event happening, forestall. Examples, the authorities concerned were advised to take measures to preempt any untoward incident. The minister held a press conference in order to preempt criticism in the newspapers. The group raised its offer in an attempt to preempt a possible counterbid from a rival. Makeshift. Meaning, adjective, acting as an interim and temporary measure. Examples, thousands of refugees are living in makeshift camps. Stephen was forced to use a rock as a makeshift hammer. The solution, makeshift, as usual, simply exacerbated the existing problem. Build up. Meaning, 1 to increase or develop something gradually. 2 to encourage or flatter someone. 3 to become stronger. Examples, I've been putting $50 aside every month in an attempt to build up my savings. Not getting that job left my son really discouraged, so I've been trying to build him up. 2. I'm trying to build up my leg muscles so that I can run even faster. Cue. Meaning, noun, something serving as a signal or suggestion. Examples, she waited for her cue, the ring of the telephone, to come on stage. Being passed over for promotion twice was his cue to start looking for another job. They started washing up, so that was our cue to leave the party. Under no illusions. Meaning, to know and understand the reality or truth of a situation, be fully aware of the true state of affairs. Examples, don't worry, I'm not getting back together with Alex. After all his lies, I'm under no illusion about how he operates. We are under no illusion as to what our task is with winks. Out of one's mind, out of one's head, or out of one's senses, meaning, to be silly and senseless, to be crazy and irrational. Examples, don't drive so fast, Tom. You have to be out of your head. He's out of his mind if he thinks this plan is going to work. After yet another sleepless night, I'm starting to feel like I'm out of my mind with exhaustion.